All right, so everybody, this is in fact the January meeting of 2025. Yeah, Wharf District Council. We have people finding their way in. And in the meantime, as we're waiting for the folks from A1 who are first on our list and Director Borders, we're going to ask Chris Cook and Martha, is it? Martha, to tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Greenway.
Thank you very much. Mark, how much time do you want to, until John shows up or?
Yeah, something.
Okay, great, perfect. Just give me the hook when it's time. So, thanks everyone. First, like I just have to say again, it was like so, it was so exciting to receive the award and celebrate with you all. The agreement is to go work. But it was just a really amazing fun night. And for those who weren't able to make it, I hope you make it next year because it's just what a wonderful celebration that is. What a great way to end.
What did your daughter say afterwards?
She loved it. I mean, he was trying on being an adult for science, and he was like,
Doing
I
better,
made friends with so-and-so. She's
better job than some of us.
She's gonna do a great job as a development director someday.
Yeah, great.
Very smooth. She was very funny.
Great.
She absolutely loved it. She had a good time.
Great.
So thank you very much. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. And obviously, Councilor, I was incredibly grateful for the kind messages that you shared with me. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Councilor. So that being said, the reason we're here is a couple of different reasons. First off, just passing out a little bit of information about a very exciting Valentine's Market pop-up that we have over on Dewey Square. So passing that out, but I'll send the PDF afterwards so that Suzanne can send it up. And I do believe it was in your latest communication. I think we sent it along for the newsletter.
You did, I just haven't.
That's right, that went out. But I also want to introduce the Wharf District Council to one of the newest team members at the Rose Candy Greenway. Martha was able to join us at the Wharf District Council holiday celebration, but I'll let her introduce herself and her role in the agreement.
Hi, so I'm Martha. I'm a new transplant to Boston, so I'm still getting to know the city, but I'm the communications manager over at the Greenway, and I'll be working with the outreach team, programs, horticulture, pretty much across all the different departments of the Greenway. They tell me which was to help grow brand awareness of the amazing programming and services that they offer throughout the park. So we'll be, hopefully attending more of these meetings to get a feel for what's going on in the community and how we can better serve the residents as well. So happy to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we're super excited to have Martha on the team. If anyone's noticed our social media, just over the past month and a half, it's been kicked up a notch. A lot of that is reflective of Martha's intentionality. And so she looks forward to working with all of you and amplifying the Wharf District Council's message too, especially on our, our shared values, especially around climate resiliency. So we're excited about that. Look forward to working with you. Yep, please.
Martha, we have a meeting coming up on the 29th to talk about communication. I know, Chris, you've been invited to that.
I think this is a more important person, to be honest. So, I will be there too. Yep.
Yep. Great.
If you actually want something to happen after the fact.
That's great.
Can you
Terrific.
send me
Yes,
your
Yeah.
email?
We'll make sure we keep you connected on that. Thanks.
that's exactly.
Perfect. And Doug does our social media. Doug's going to be at the meeting too. So great to have you guys connected.
And just a little bit of background, I was a photographer, videographer for 15 years. I have a master's in visual communications, documentary storytelling, but I got my start way back when actually working more on the agency side of communication. So kind of keeping my hand in the game in terms of like the more recent developments, because I think I was one of the original members of Facebook when it first started.
Oh, well. Oh, well. Yeah.
So keeping the health stories that are important to
Martin, have you noticed that Ciara chimed in? And
Oh.
hi, Ciara,
Hi.
and she would be like like to be invited to that meeting if possible, just to
Sure,
expand on communication with the neighborhood.
sure.
Thank you. Just wanted to chime in, say hi, everyone.
Different kind of meeting.
Yeah.
Great. We'll make sure we get you connected, Ciara.
And the other update I wanted to provide, and I'll be sending along more information as we announce it, is we are planning an art piece in 25 that will probably be installed through 26. I say probably because it depends on where it ends up at the end of the showing of the artwork. The art is by the artist Jahari Ortega. I'm passing out handouts for those in the room, and I'll follow up with a PDF to Suzanne for after the fact to be sent out with them. If that's all right, Mark?
Yep.
But the installation is very, very exciting because just as Greenway could take a left and make its way over to the seaport, and people would be on their way having a great time at the Children's Museum, or maybe continuing from the Wharf District along over to the New England Aquarium or over to Faneuil Hall Marketplace. We know that this is an incredible area for footfall for children and families. This section of the Greenway, in particular, I'm talking about parcel 19. It has been a little bit underutilized in recent time for public art. So this installation by this local artist, Jahari Ortega, is going to take this tradition of big, bold earrings and turn them into swings.
Oh, cool.
And so we're, causing a little bit of agita for some of our engineers as we're taking an artist's, rendition of hoop earrings and turning them into swings. But it's gonna be an exciting sort of moment, and I think it'll give kids and families a little, a way to break up the passive space every once in a while. And so as I said, it's currently slated to be out there through 2026. The reason that could either slide to a little bit before or a little bit after is the way we're designing the piece is we believe it could have a forever home in one of the city parks after the fact. Our work is always temporary. This one is so good and so unique that we're sort of engineering it that it could maybe last. And that we think it might make a nice donation to the city's landscape if we found the right park for it or the right home for it. So, we'll provide those updates as it goes along. And then Suzanne will be reaching out to the entire team, not only for notification of the piece as it goes through design changes, but also if we need any letters of support along the way for funding or anything like that. So we're excited about that, and it'd be nice to bring art to that piece. Two other, before we get to the Boston Police, who I think will be next. It's good to see you, sir. Two other very quick announcements. One is, if folks remember, I believe Trillium came here last year to provide mild amplified sound out at the Trillium site. Wharf District Council was supportive of that. I don't think they actually ever executed that.
No, they didn't.
So they'll apply for that entertainment license. As I get the details of that, I will send that along to the Wharf District Council, but I want people to make aware of that because they would be, of course, the licensing commission would be reaching out for the support or the non-support, given the time frame of that. But I didn't want people to be surprised by that. They actually never executed on that
Right,
after
they
that
didn't.
positive feedback,
They never did.
which is interesting. They had a manager change over there. Related to that, we also are engaged in a very serious conversation with them about the bathrooms that are on site. Prior to COVID, the bathrooms that were on site were always meant to be removed at the end of the season. We were discussing with them potentially a more permanent structure that would stay out there, so maybe we could winterize the bathroom so the public would have access to it. We weren't able to get through that legal process, frankly. There are all the different rules and regulations that govern the Greenway in our pro bono legal counsel. So now that we're back at the drawing board, we have to revisit, and we're communicating to them that is the Wharf District Council's strong preference that if there's bathrooms that aren't being used, that they be removed at the end of the season.
And the other stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The idea is that if it's a pop-up only for seasonality, then it pops up and then it goes away. Any changes to that will come back and communicate to you all, but, you know, we're following up on those conversations this Friday. As well as just what the future of the site is. So in the meantime, we don't anticipate any changes going into the season with the way the Trillium runs. But long-term, there has to be some changes because the Wharf District Council is very big. And then the last thing related to beer and wine and liquor is folks have noticed in the city, there was legislation that was a home rule petition that went up to the State House. There was reform around the liquor licenses, making more liquor licenses available in the city, including for nonprofits. Woolston Stores, who's our legal counsel, has advised that we would pursue one of those liquor licenses. If we did, it would go through all the rigmarole that a liquor license would entail with hearings and reaching out to the community. Ours would be really interesting and a little bit complicated because our butters are 1.5 miles long, right? So we're not like a theater, you know, and so the notification of everyone who lives in and around the Greenway. But just a little bit about what our intention about it is. The reason we would do it is it would make our beer gardens, we wouldn't anticipate having more beer gardens. It would just make it more valuable because they wouldn't have to pull the temporary one-time licenses for each day that they're open. Which is currently what Night Shift has to do. And Trillium operates under a brewer's license, which is sort of, I wouldn't say a loophole, but it's another form of legislation up at the State House because they actually brew some of their beer on site currently. So it would make it much more advantageous for operations as well as for the special events that we have, of which there are really only 3. There's Aaron Mikeowitz's Cornhole Tournament. Currently, there's the Kickback Festival in Dewey Square, and then of course there's our Gala and Glow event. So we wouldn't anticipate more events than that. It would just make those beer gardens and wine gardens that we have, the 2, Dewey Square and Wharf District, more valuable to us. But again, if this gets real and we actually apply for this, we would come and formally present it to you. But in case anyone's asking questions about it, you can just send them back to me in the meantime. But I didn't want anyone to be surprised by that in case anyone from the licensing commission reached out. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that now, although there's not a formal proposal. And normally, an organization like a nonprofit like the Greenway would never be able to secure its own liquor license because it's, you know, anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million or whatever it is they charge for the things. It's just because of the legislative change. So. We think so, but honestly, we don't know if we want to be in the business of securing. You know, right now it's a very rewarding, simple relationship with us for these vendors.
Right.
And that all changes if the license is ours and some of the liability shifts to us, and we have to be a little bit more active in managing that, which would be concerning.
And you also take on the liability, I assume.
We do, yeah, and so it's a big choice for us. But I think the economics of it would have to really outweigh that sort of liability.
I mean, I would think it just makes it much more desirable, you know,
For sure. So right now,
those vendors.
yeah, now don't get me wrong, the city is fantastic when they do this. Because when they go get those one times, you know, they get the pile of one times all in one pile. You know, it's not like they have to go up every single day, right?
Right.
But it's a big burden on the local captain. The way the local captain has to sign off on these things and everything like that. So this could be.
Okay.
So that's my update.
Great.
Could I
Thank
just say one more thing?
Well,
That's okay with you. When I was at a meeting last week, somebody told me about the bicycles on the Greenway and the issue in concern, particularly in the summertime, about people, particularly the
Yeah.
children, getting hit by these people on bicycles who are going far faster than they should. I know that it's not something that you can deal with tonight, but do you get complaints about this?
We do, and so we get complaints throughout the Greenway. But the place where it's really, you know, a deep concern is in the north end, really where the Freedom Trail and the carousel. That's like sort of the fulcrum of activity. And we will have to navigate with our rangers and with signage you know, the final State Street solution, because, you know, there's sort of some conflicting messages of like, ooh, here's this, you know, this wonderful bike infrastructure that's gonna come or not come or whatever, and where does it drop you off? It drops you on a space that is really focused on being pedestrian.
Right.
And it's at the same grade and all that, so we will have to figure out a design solution there, but it's a problem throughout the Greenway.
And that includes electric scooters.
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a big part of our rangers' time. I will say people are not super responsive to our team members' feedback. So we have our rangers proactively engage with people. Our other staff that is uniform personnel, we ask them to engage, and if they receive any sort of hostility at all, hostility is your world, so like, you know. We just immediately withdraw ourselves from the conversation if they get any feedback. We did put up some additional sandwich boards last year. It didn't make any difference. Yeah, you know.
Is this something that the communities should get more involved in terms of supporting you on this and of course the police? Since we know what happens. They're on the Greenway, we call 911 or 311, and one of them said to me, well, we just wait to see the car show up and then they disappear. So what can you do? I mean,
Our issue is never like, you know, every once in a while we'll get the occasional skateboarder.
Hello, dear.
Hey, how are you? And then they just kind of move along and stuff
You
like
already
that.
in the cab?
Our bigger issue is the high-speed commuter e-bike.
Yeah.
That don't feel safe on Atlantic or Service for whatever reason. So the Greenway feels a little bit safer to them, and then that causes some pedestrian problems.
Sure. Councilor Flynn,
Thank you, Mark. Could I ask a quick question to Chris?
please.
Hey, Chris, it's good to see you. Just wanted to follow up, Chris. I know it's more focused on the Chinatown area of the Greenway, but I do know the A1 captain is going to be on this meeting. A lot of people selling stolen goods at on the Greenway in the Chinatown area. I've called A1 many times. It's a major problem. What can we meet to talk about it, Chris? And is there anything that you want to provide to me that might be helpful as we deal with this issue?
Yeah, we can provide the instances that we have, counselors, so that you're armed for that meeting. We're happy to meet. The one thing that we haven't done that we could is we haven't provided specific translated pop-up signs for that particular activity. That might help a little bit. Our biggest concern, you know, obviously illegal activity is bad. It really doesn't happen anywhere else on the Greenway, with the exception of every once in a while there's an illegal vendor in the North End selling like Celtics t-shirts or something like that. We can deal with that. That's not the same issue. The issue with the Chinatown, the big concern is you don't want anyone getting sick, because it's like, you know, if they have food products or something like that, like that's what we would worry about. So the only thing I think we could do extra, counselor, which we're happy to do, is just do a little signage for that one behavior, which we haven't done.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm going to do a public awareness campaign to the residents of Chinatown, encouraging them not to buy any stuff in the Rose Kennedy Greenway. What we're doing is supporting people that are stealing from businesses. So maybe I can work with your team on that, but I'm going to work with Boston Police as well, Chris.
Thank you, counselor. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I just don't want anyone getting sick. So.
Yeah, thank you to the Wharf District, and sorry to ask that question. I know it's a little bit out of the jurisdiction, but thank you for giving me a couple of minutes.
Of course.
somebody else had their hand up.
I don't see it.
No.
So
Did
we
it?
will have more signage. We will
Okay.
have more signage, and, you know, obviously, Suzanne on our board, we'll bring it up on our strategic conversation.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And turning it over to our friends from A1, can you tell us a little bit about the count?
We want to welcome.
Yep.
Jane.
Oh, that's right. Is this your first meeting here?
So
This is my first in-person meeting I've been on. It was on Zoom.
There we go.
He was at the,
Yes, I know you were at the party, right?
Kathy, I gotta say, it's very unfortunate because you probably thought all the work that the council meetings were gonna have food and music.
I told him
It's
that.
a big step down, right?
Gonna make dinner out of it.
Be back on Zoom next month.
Yeah, right.
Just quickly to what you mentioned about the resale of, we have started now.
Mark, we can't hear the captain.
Just relative to the specific, resale of stolen goods on Greenway and elsewhere, the last, 2 weeks.
Cannot hear the captain.
Huh, all right, let's see, why not? Why not? Why not?
You seem to be able to hear me. Do you want to switch seats or?
Well, no, it should be, that thing should be working down there. Can you hear him now? Again,
You hear me now?
Just taking out your-
Far away.
all right,
Now let's switch.
well, we have
Probably
to,
that.
Yeah.
Hey, it's something there, I know.
yeah.
You can stay right there. Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
All right.
So much for that thing.
So, Frank, you're sitting out there. Just relative to what Councilor Flynn mentioned about the resale of stolen goods. So the last 2 weeks we've had shoplifting sticks. You know, so we've done Primark and CVS. Actually, we've done 3 weeks and Target. And it goes to what he was talking about with the resale of goods, and this is. I always like to say, it's not like people stealing diapers for their child. This is organized retail theft and then the resale. So what he mentioned about the resale, the buying, the fact that there's a market, it, you know, it creates more of a reason to go and do it. So we can certainly now ask the detectives from District 1 and the special investigation unit that we've been using for the shoplifting stuff to see if they can kind of include this same resale. And you think this is happening even in inclement weather and the cold weather, Counselor?
Yes, it is. It's happening in the in cold weather. I was down there on Saturday. And I noticed a couple of people selling stuff to the Chinatown residents. And again, I have major concerns about safety, but also public health as well. I think there's some public health related issues impacting selling illegal stuff. So that is a concern.
No, that's great. I just want to put that in my notes. Just before Frank talks, one other push that we're doing is traffic. So not only parking and traffic, but also traffic flow. You know, meaning trying to get vehicles moving because there's such an issue with Ubers and whatnot, just pulling.
Yeah.
They travel lanes and slapping the lights on, and it just slows everything down. So, you know, the commissioner and former captain from there, Bob Chicolo, now the BFS commander, has said, come up with traffic plans, and we're gonna give you the resources.
Cool.
And that's to push it. So if you send any traffic locations, try and be as pinpointed as possible, because if I overwhelm them, they'll see a million. But if you have 2 or 3 major on the wharf, just let me know. And I rotate them. If you could either particularize it to time, whether it's rush hour or some other time, just let me know.
I think it's pretty clear that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays,
Yeah, okay. No, this is good.
right? From 3:30 to 5:30, trying to go south to get onto the expressway.
Mhm.
Those lights are not timed. Everybody's trying to get in from the parking lots. It's already backed up because of people trying to get on 93 South. It's brutal. Now, I do think the fundamental problem is 93 South, but the weird thing is that you can't even, you can't even take any of the flow off to get onto the pike because everybody's all clogged up in the tunnel. So,
Yeah, that's
and
definitely.
you can't choose to keep going straight.
But
right.
even that's a situation where maybe we do the, don't block the box type.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Gridlock prevention.
Yeah.
So that's stuff that.
Yep.
That's, if we can pinpoint what would be the best for rotating.
Yeah.
That's something.
That's what I've noticed
But
most.
I'd rather firsthand. Counts for you guys.
Yep.
Versus like be guessing what I think. it is.
Yep.
So I appreciate that. Anything else?
Set a few reports. Like,
Yeah.
Great. I don't,
Is there any other
I
questions?
just have a question.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Regarding that, the new building that's going up over the substation.
Oh, yeah.
John,
There, can you all hear me?
go ahead. Yeah.
They're advertising 1,000 parking spaces. So that you just go directly into the tunnel or directly onto the expressway. Well, that's absurd.
That I think though is, and it's connected to that, I don't know if you've ever been there, the little connector that goes right down into the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get in without coming into street traffic at
Yeah,
all.
you don't need.
Okay.
You don't need. So if
Okay,
you ever get a chance, you go up and you get lost, the only place it'll take you is like this parking garage. And there's.
so it's gonna dump them either on the
Oh, it dumps you right
expressway
onto the,
or the,
Yep. so it's. I think right straight across, you go right onto north. Left onto south, or hook around to where Albany Street is downward, or the Mass. But yeah, that I've seen firsthand.
oh, good,
I was wondering.
thank you.
But that's, things like. You better can do it all.
I know.
Yeah, right.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anyone in the zone have any questions, for Frank?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. I don't have much. I hope everybody had a great holiday.
Mhm.
Winter is here. Battling that, yesterday we had the inauguration, one large protest, I believe, Captain,
Yeah, about 350 people, they walked around by the crossing.
pretty peaceful for the most part, I believe, so. If anyone had any questions about that, it went as well as it could have, I believe. Nobody got hurt, type of thing, so all good positive stuff moving forward. As for you guys, pretty quiet as usual. I don't want to jinx anything. I'll run through these quickly and I'll let you get on your way. We had 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, December 28th. We were called for vandalism over to the aquarium. Security guy over there said the overnight staff did not see or hear anything, but when he arrived, saw the word free engraved on the glass of the seal tank. And did not have any security footage at the moment, but I believe detective kind of pretty good images. Terrific, so.
I think it's like motivated to, animal rights.
Hmm.
But it's under investigation, but they did obtain the images.
Pretty good images, so. Good work on that part, but, so that was over at the aquarium. Moving forward, 408 Atlantic Ave, 5:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday, January 14th. We had a pretty good warrant arrest. Homeland Security, Federal Protective Service called us. And an individual had walked into the Coast Guard building, stated that he had multiple warrants. He wanted to turn himself in. The only reason I make note of it is because the warrants were, we had many and they were pretty serious, everywhere from
We lost the audio again. No audio.
calling us and notifying us that they want to be arrested and rightfully so. That works as well, so it was nice to see. And then lastly.
Sorry.
Uh,
We missed most of what you said about the individual who turned himself in at the Coast Guard station.
Yeah, so he was, he had, like 6 or 7 pretty serious warrants everywhere ranging from like ABDWs to, assault to murder. A third firearm charge. So that's just to go on and on, but I think upwards to about 6 warrants decided to turn himself in, so.
At the Coast Guard, to the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're the friendliest brand.
And that's it for that. And going forward, the Chowder Restaurant, the Chowder Company located over in Faneuil Hall. We spoke with them directly, 12:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, January 12th. They called us for the velocity that we'd happened the night prior. Got in, walks right in, doors open, safe wide open with over $1,000 in cash, which is like, you know, we have to make it stinks that you have to make sure your stuff is locked. But anyway, thing as simple as your car, you know, it's a crime of opportunity, right? So he goes in there, he strikes gold.
Did they catch him?
We know.
So he was trying doors everywhere. So what is crazy to me when I read these reports, open safe with thousands of bucks in it, right? And then an unlocked bakery on Washington Street with 1,800 in the cash register. Walks in like this guy was, but we identified him through video. His name's Timothy Dearborn. That's him. He's currently wanted by it.
He doesn't belong to the Wharf District.
Don't say.
Thought I saw him as that woods. So.
It wasn't Suzanne, really.
But so there's 3 warrants for B&E, because we also identified him for another one. What is good though, we had a great meeting with Faneuil Hall. Reps and then security reps and
Yeah,
covered up
very
a
well.
little bit about.
Yeah.
And a little known fact that I didn't realize is that sunglasses is one of the most shoplifted.
Yeah, we have a lot of.
I mean, that the other day, through that, from that.
To try them on and
Yeah. Just walk up to.
no one's buying sunglasses without trying them on, right? I never have.
Yeah, so they're almost to a point where they just like, don't, they leave the door locked sometimes. Yeah, so we're trying to help, you know.
Yeah.
maybe get some
Great.
solution-based options for them, so.
And then they go and sell them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the originals definitely, there's a huge market.
Yeah.
So that's all we have on our end. Other than
Great.
that, everything's pretty good. Winter's the winter.
Well, thank you very much for
Yeah, thanks for having us.
working us through the season and taking good care of us.
How did the toys work out this
The
year?
tours are great. Thank you very much. Yes, very appreciated.
And we appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah, bravo Sheila and you guys.
Chris, you know, talked about it at the,
Yeah.
at
No.
the captain's meeting.
It means a lot for you guys to do that. That's a real,
They really.
we really thank you. It's a really
Great.
nice thing and. Every toy you. So,
Great. Thanks so much.
thank you. Yesterday.
Yeah.
The hospitality guy, thing,
Oh, yes, yes.
not to get our traffic. Okay, have you spoken with them?
Yes, in fact, we can,
You want to call me after? you?
yes.
Okay.
Why don't we do that?
Awesome.
Great.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very grateful.
Thank you.
Joanne, do you want to tell us about what your plans are for February?
Certainly. And as you can see, I have behind me what is image of the Tunnel of Love.
Yeah.
Does not exist at the moment, but it will be illuminated on February 1st. The picture is of the archway, the trellis on the south end. There are 3 trellises. And we started out with each end of the trellis had it's about a 10-foot tall heart. And then last year we added 2 more, and now this year there will be a total of 6. So in other words, each of the 3 trellises will have a heart like this at the ends. The center trellis is playing love songs. We've already started that to get people in the mood. I don't know how many people are strolling lovingly through the trellis at this point with 10-degree weather, but maybe it'll warm their hearts if they are. And then of course we have the 5-foot tall conversation hearts that say things like "Be mine," "I love you." And I would say during the month of February, if there aren't 1,000 pictures taken with those hearts, I'd be shocked. They're all over Instagram and other social media. And every year, this is the 8th year. And I know the last couple of years, we go in and talk to people different times. And they'll say, this is on our calendar. We make a plan, we have to be here. And our hope when we started this, one of it was to bring people down to the waterfront on what is probably the coldest month of the year. And hopefully they'll go to the restaurants, they'll go to the Marriott, they'll go to Joe's, they'll go to the North End, and to try and spur that kind of activity. So we're really proud of it. It's a very, very fun thing we do. And which of course we couldn't do it without all of our supporters, the Boston Harbor Hotel and the Marriott and all these others in the neighborhood, plus all of our members. And then Meet Boston has been a huge supporter, convention center. So it's a real community effort, and I hope you all get there. And I think probably some of the cutest things is to watch the children walking through, listening to the music and dancing, sometimes with daddy, sometimes with mommy. So we're really proud of it, and I hope you can get to see it.
And it's all free, right?
It is all free, yes. How many things can you do that are all free, except for Rebecca's ice sculptures? Boston Harbor Now, the people got to see. How many were there, Rebecca? 20?
We had 40 in 32 locations.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So 32 different locations for the ice sculptures. We had a Frosty the Snowman for the second year, but he had no face. And the point of that was they put their face in the snowman and then everybody took pictures. So it was adorable.
No.
Unfortunately, this year, the sun was out a lot. And the Frosty arrived at 10 in the morning. And by 3 o'clock, he was a former shadow of himself. But people were still
magic in that
pictures. I was glad to see the aquarium was more in shade because theirs is so complex and beautiful. So I know it lasted longer than ours, but I don't want to compute per hour the cost of that little Frosty, but I think it's well worth it. So thank you all. And thanks, Rebecca, for what you do with that. It's really a great, great project.
Great. Joanne, thank you very much. And happy Valentine's Day when the time is right.
And you have a press release that you've sent me. We'll put that on the website.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'll tell you a little secret about this press release. I just tried Claude. If you haven't heard of Claude, he's one of the AI characters. So I went in and gave him a bunch of different details about the Tunnel of Love, the date, said I needed a press release, and within seconds, it comes out with this fully crafted press release with, all the correct headings, the issue date, everything. And then at the very bottom, it said event date. And this is something that you could send out theoretically to a publication. It said event date of February 1st to 29, 2025. Unfortunately, this is a 28-month February. You have to watch what you get from AI.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a fun experiment.
That's great. Thanks, John.
Thank
Matthew,
you.
do you want to introduce our guest?
Sure. I want to say welcome to John Borders IV, who is with us this evening. So happy to have him with us. And just briefly, John is Director of Tourism, Sports, and Entertainment for the City of Boston. And you can do your resume better than I can, John. But
No need.
we're happy to have you. And your position is report to the mayor, or how does that work?
there's one person in between us, Ciara D'Amico, who oversees the Office of Economic Opportunity and Inclusion. So it falls under the business affairs of the city. But honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
That's great.
Pleasure. And obviously, tourism and, well, tourism entertainment, certainly, a lot of that takes place in here, but we get a lot of sports down here, in Wharf District, maybe,
Just nearby anyway.
nearby. Yes, so glad to have you. And basically, I just invited John to come here this evening just to talk about his role, his department, and also just talk about the year ahead, what you see coming up, and any visions you have for the future, and particularly opportunities that you may see here in the Wharf District for the areas that you oversee in the city. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. There have been some amazing folks who sat in the seat in which I occupy right now. Most recently, there was Kate Davis, who's now with me, Boston. And before that, there was a handsome young man who's a close friend to this. Community. I get to continue on the great work that they've already started. I'm really excited about some of the things that we're doing. Some of the things that I got really excited about when taking this job was the mayor's desire to close the racial wealth gap. There was a Color of Wealth report that came out years ago. I grew up in Dorchester off Bluehill Avenue. I love Boston. I defend Boston wherever I am in the world. People talk about what Boston is not, and all I do is talk about what Boston is. And it's people like you who sit around this table who fight to make sure that the best version of Boston is often seen. But one of the things that I often try to do within my work is try to figure out how we can attract the largest scale events that are going to bring the largest amount of business to the city, so that as we're working with supplier diversity contracts and all the different things that will assist in patronizing business, that everybody is included and everybody has the opportunity. LGBTQIA+, veterans, those with disabilities, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, whatever that looks like, however that shows up, that is a huge priority for me. So we're having conversations with the NFL about what it would mean to have the NFL draft come to Boston. I had the privilege of going to Detroit and meeting with them last year around the future host cities. So Boston is in the mix for that. We've had active conversations with the NBA about hosting NBA All-Star Weekend in the years to come, in the few years to come. And that's a $400 million direct spend, and that being funneled down to different neighborhoods and making those different neighborhoods destinations. That is a really big deal. And those are just, two things that are top of mind. I have, bi-weekly meetings with professional sports teams and actively working with our convention center, which is actively booked and booked out 2040 at times, so it's harder to move certain dates and get certain things here. But I will say that there is an appetite to put the best version of Boston forward and to share that, whether it be here's the Wharf District, whether it be, moving people not strictly at Fenway, Faneuil Hall, and Freedom Trail, but allowing people to see all the different areas and what really makes Boston shine. So those are priorities. But when I think about the Wharf District, I think about the activation of the green space. I think about bringing people down here, and I get most excited about all things that are free and open to the public. Because when you think about equity, when you think about the people that call Boston home, people are at different spaces. Everyone may not have the ability to own their property. Everyone may not have the disposable income to be able to patronize certain businesses. But what things can they take advantage of? How do we make the waterfront more appealing and more inclusive? So with the work that's being done on the Rose Kennedy Greenway, with the work you all are doing down here at the Wharf District, there are different ways that we're bringing families together, whether it be those free Sundays, where people are coming down here. There are all these different ways where we as the city can be better partners to publicize different things that you all have going on. So collaboration is priority. I know one of the things that we want to do is learn more about your work and figure out how we can amplify it with our resources. I'm very much so navigating where the city leads in certain things and where we allow community to drive it and how we find that balance, because we need to be accountable for taxpayer dollars. We need to be accountable for how we're spending. So I'm always mindful of where we lean in and where we support and what that looks like. So there's this dance, there's this give and take, but there's definitely a desire to amplify great things happening and what that looks like and how we can draw more attention and more people here. So anything that I can do, I want you to know that there's a willingness, there's a desire to learn more, to listen, and then to lean in. So whatever that looks like, whatever that means, I hope that that's at least, you know, an olive branch to extend and at least start the conversation. I know this is my first time being here with you all, but, you know, really excited about where we are and where we're headed. And I can talk about some other things. I know 250th is rocking and rolling. Everyone is talking about the 250th anniversary. And what those, again, the largest components to me are those free and open activations. We're working. I don't know if I should share this yet.
It's being recorded.
Okay, it says being recorded. Yeah, all good. We're working. No, I can say this: safe space, family, friends. We're working on some things. There are a number of different areas that the city is actively trying to raise support to expose different resources to the city. One of the things I'm really excited about is working on a tool that will somewhat gamify different destinations and promote local tourism in a hyper local way. John, what are you talking about? If you live in the Wharf district, you may not have ever had dinner in Mattapan. You may not live in West Roxbury and you're going over to East Boston to try meetup, whatever that looks like. So how do we gamify and how do we get people to look at Boston in a different way, whether that's leveraging augmented reality, whether that's having these different challenges and having you take pictures and do different scavenger hunt type things around the city. There will be an opportunity for you to engage in these different ways, and it will push people to different parts of the city. So it's an opportunity to amplify main streets. It's an opportunity to talk about the things happening on the Wharf district, and there will be filters that show you, you know, these murals that are free. It'll show you free activities. It'll have these community calendars somewhat integrated. So like, we're thinking about what this looks like, and hopefully that's a tool that we'll be able to launch before the 250th. But that will be a leave behind that even when all of these visitors are gone from FIFA, from the 250th, from the tall ships, those who call Boston home, those who visit year round, they will still have access to a tool and a resource like this. So we're thinking about how we can do this, how we can draw attention to the work you're doing, how we can draw people into different communities, different pockets of the city. So the appetite is there. We're working on it. I promise you, every day I'm up to something, you know, in that regard. But we're really excited about where the city is and where the city's headed.
Oh, that sounds terrific.
Yeah, that could be great.
Go here on the north end, and that's, oh, this part of the city.
I love the North End too, though. I used to work for the Celtics, so we would often spend time. Yeah, have some fun there.
Two things. First of all, we have been really struggling to come up with a comprehensive calendar of stuff that's going on. And we've talked with the folks at the Boston Market, public market, talked with the hotels, the Greenway has, there's lots and lots of stuff going on. It's just beyond our ability to aggregate all those calendars, but it would be a huge resource. So if there's a way we can work together on that,
Right.
so that we could link or share or collaborate or something or other, that would be really great. Norm, I wonder if I could call on you to talk to Director Borders for a second about how we see the master plan project and the opportunity as opposed to the impediment that you keep talking about.
For sure, Mark. You anticipated the question I was going to ask. Thank you, Director, for being here. As you may know, Wharf District in the past couple of years has engaged in a study and created a design feasibility for protecting the entire Wharf District from the climate change in terms of the rising tides and storm related threat that threatens us. And we're talking about something that's ultimately going to cost $1 billion. And we talk about it in terms of, well, it's going to save $4 billion in infrastructure behind us when the storm occurs. But that's only part of the picture. The other part of the picture is, in doing this, our design created a very different view of the harbor walk, with right up front accessibility and equity being important parts of the design. And so there's a positive benefit to doing this resiliency work. And we've not been able to come up with a way to figure out what the monetary advantage of that is. When we have a rebuilt harbor walk that can protect the district, it can be used as, say, as an example, the Baltimore Harbor Walk. It can be used as a tourist tool to bring money in and to activate the area. Is there someone who would be appropriate in your office that we could work with, who could kind of join this team and provide us with the positive benefit aspects of what it is we're doing?
Norm, thank you for raising that. And I acknowledge everything that you've shared about it seems the cost benefit analysis and work that you've done thus far. So I respect that. I will do some research. There are a couple names that come to mind that immediately kind of jump off the page, but I don't want to throw them out there on a recorded line and have them held accountable for something that I committed them to. I don't want to do that. People do that to me all the time. It's not a good place to be. But I hear you loud and clear. And I think there are internal conversations to have at the city level. And I can absolutely raise that with those on the inside and gather more information and be in a position to report back. But I see the benefit of what you're saying. If we can spend $1 billion to save $4 billion, it makes sense.
Right.
No, we don't have that budget right now. I don't have $1 billion, Norm. If I did, you and I, we'd be having a different conversation. Probably would be in this seat.
Yeah.
But I do know that I am willing to have that conversation internally, and to do some research and to try to champion a conversation that can be moved forward. So I will take responsibility to do that.
Mark, this is Don.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I just want to say that is a very positive comment that you made. This is not a time where I think we should settle for, I don't know, I'll find out. I think it's the time for us to say, it's time for us to find out and start to direct action toward the solution. And so I'm encouraged by our conversation. I'm encouraged by all the things that are going on. And thank you.
Thank you for that comment.
Yeah. You got a lot of exciting stuff up your sleeve. Anything else you can share with us? It's 250.
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to the director. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Like,
250.
you need me to share what I'm working on. He's ready to jump in.
250 is tall ships as well, right?
250 tall ships, FIFA, and some other things in the future. There's a lot going on.
Great.
In a very short amount of time.
When is the FIFA? And the 26th? 26, right?
That's 26. Yeah. Boston is very active, and we're being credited for being one of the best winter destinations in the world as well. Crazy, and I blame you for that.
Yeah.
I blame you for that. A lot of good things
I
happening.
think it's Joanne and her.
Yeah.
Tunnel of Love.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Tunnel of Love.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Tunnel of Love.
Right.
But again, there's so much that I'm still learning, even within my role. So I will not sit here and act as if I am an expert. But I have a willingness to learn, and I do work hard. I'm a quick study, and I like being held accountable. So,
Well, Matthew, how many people go on cruises? How many?
Oh, goodness. Well, if you include the commuter vessels that go south of the shore. about, 2.8, I think. But, I had one question for John, or just one response to what you shared. And, excuse me, Director Waters.
No, I'm not a title guy.
I guess when I hear you talk about, the many conversations that you have on an ongoing basis, advocating for equity and inclusivity, inclusion, and so forth, and the interconnectivity of all of our neighborhoods. I think one thing that would really be to bring to those conversations, as you learn more about the Wharf District and the challenges that we're facing with sea level rise and the solutions that we've come up with, which are very much tied to equity and public access. To be an advocate for the plan, and I know that that plan is fairly dense and very detailed, and but it has also been through a process that has been very inclusive of all the stakeholders in the Wharf District, property owners, residents, businesses, and that process is something that we feel is very is replicable and can serve as a template for other neighborhoods that are facing very similar challenges in Dorchester, East Boston, Charleston, et cetera. So, I look forward to you getting more acquainted with the climate resilience plan. It's available on our website, and for you to become an advocate for that plan and for our community here, our neighborhood, bringing that into your conversations and knowing that's going on, that will be a great benefit to us.
We do see, I'm always shocked to find how far ahead of the curve we are in actually having this plan. Many other communities are starting, but we have a really well-developed one. And we hope that our area ends up being sort of a model of nationally and internationally for how to deal with climate change in a forward-thinking way, which I think is to our benefit as a destination as well. So hopefully that, as Matthew says, we'd like to make sure that that information gets to you, and we manage to include your office in how it evolves going forward.
Absolutely.
The city is very involved in this issue, obviously,
Right.
as are the feds in the state. But it's really up to us that, the Army Corps of Engineers is going to be focused on making sure that we stay dry.
Yep.
That is not the same thing as creating a world-class waterfront. They recognize the difference and they're open to that conversation, but it is up to us to make sure that we maintain that sense of excellence that we are currently delivering and that is about to get inundated.
Let me credit you with a few things. You have a plan. You've done your research. You're doing stakeholder engagement. You talked about the city. You talked about the state. You talked about the Fed. It is not just the city. The city is one of the many stakeholders that will advocate. So John can say yes, but there may be 2 or 3 others that also need to move forward with that. So the fact that you are coming from a place of being informed, understanding what you want to happen, you're already ahead of it. So I love the idea of raising your hand, saying, let us be a model. Let us show you what it can look like.
Yeah.
And trust us with this and watch us soar is a no-brainer.
That'd be great.
I
Hope
love
it works out that way.
Me too.
Other questions for Director Borders?
I just have a comment. I've lived here for a lot of years, and we have wonderful places that families can go to, particularly on weekends. It's just amazing how many families and children are here. My concern is we don't have sort of like the I don't want to say low price, but food that families can afford. Legal seafood, or so many, the Chart House. I mean, it would be great, because people will say to me, because I have a dog, and the dog, everybody always talks to you when you have a dog. And they always say, when can we go to get something to eat? And it's always challenging, because you can send them to Quincy Market, but that's kind of like its own place destination. it would be so nice if there was some place. And the aquarium has a wonderful facility and there are a lot of different places, but families are still looking for a place to go.
What would you want to see?
Because that's important what you're saying.
I-
It costs a fortune to,
Right.
you know, it's.
I mean, like, it's difficult for me to say, but I would say like a fast food kind of place. I mean,
I can add something. So I work for Boston Harbor City Cruises, we have Whale Lodge and Pecan Ferry, Salem Ferry, ferries to the Harbor Islands, hello Rebecca. And one of the questions that comes up, and we're sort of the 50-yard line down here, it is just the foot traffic is unbelievable. With folks from the city and from the region, but also all over the world. And one of the questions that comes up regularly down here is where can we get breakfast? There's no diner, there's no diner, there's no, you know, even in Faneuil Marketplace, there aren't places that are breakfast, there are places that for lunch.
we can't get breakfast.
No, there's lunch that starts maybe at 10 or 11. But when you have whale watches and ferries that are going out at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, people are looking for places for breakfast. We're hard pressed. I mean, we'll send them all the way down to, you know, North Street Grill in North End, but that's a hike for some people.
Yeah, and it's crowded too.
Oh, well, yeah. There's always a line.
I'm
to get in.
taking notes so you know I'm not texting.
So, yeah, I mean, I've talked to Jenny at the Faneuil Marketplace about this, because I think that would be one possible area, but I just raised that as just something I just hear by talking to guests, out on the walkway.
And I get it too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
your dog, I'm sure.
I do.
I'm sure she
Yeah.
is.
We can go for breakfast.
I think, Joanne, you have a comment?
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I wanted to echo what Suzanne said about no place for families to go and grab something to eat. We had an event in the park in Columbus Park last year, and I talked one of the food trucks into coming in, and I had to get, of course, the Parks Department to agree, and they don't really want food trucks in Columbus Park. I can get that, but there are cute food trucks. But you're right, they come off the boats and the kids are hungry, and we have one food stand that I can't stand it. It doesn't do much. But there really is nowhere to go. You've got a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old, and the kids are hungry and they're cranky and trying to, you know, like you say, tea is wonderful, but it's not for kids. Breakfast, Matthew, you're exactly right. There is nowhere to go for breakfast.
One place that I do send people, and I frequent it myself, is the Bean and Leaf over here on Custom House Street, which is close enough for folks to go to. I know the hotels in the area will also send people to the Bean and Leaf, and that's also supporting a small business that's in our neighborhood. Oh, you know, locally owned and operated.
And I think,
But yeah, this is the problem. They don't have weekends. Until we get maybe in the summertime.
Yeah, Chelsea, would you like to share with us your perspective?
I mean, I can't not. So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
not lest you forget, the Boston Public Market is within the Wharf District. We have breakfast, we have bagels, we have popovers, we have the best coffee, George Howell. We've got smoothies from Mother Juice and fruit bowls. And we have kids activities every single Saturday and Sunday morning too. So that grab a lot of locals, but also a lot of tourists coming in for those types of things. It's very kid friendly. We have kids running around more often than we want to sometimes. It's a lot of fun, but there's something for everybody, and it's got that kind of grab what you want atmosphere that makes it really easy to feed my 3-year-old who comes all of the time when you want that. Plus you can get an adult beverage too now that we have the bar. So we really have a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Chelsea, thank you.
Thank you for the reminder.
It's also, it's a very pleasant walk right down the Greenway to get to you. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, so that is a great resource. Let us not forget that. But obviously still, there are challenges that you're hearing. And you're gonna mention the fact that you're now gonna have all sorts of breakfast trucks?
No. Just seems like an opportunity.
It
that's all.
does, doesn't it?
First go to Chelsea's.
Yeah.
Go to Boston Public Market first.
Right.
And if there needs to be more, we can put some food carts up.
Right.
I will say as a mom of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, we've done the stroller walk from the aquarium to Boston Public Market. We've gotten breakfast. If there isn't something that's not available before 10 a.m. as a parent of small children, you've lived 1,000 lives by 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Like you've already eaten 3 meals by 10 a.m. So
Yeah.
having that available, we have, and it is incredibly family friendly and fast, which is great if you want to hang out or if you want to continue exploring. So, and that was actually one of the first experiences I ever had on the green. I was going to the public market, walking over and letting our kids take their shoes off the grass.
You might even see a magician in there or face painting or what have you. So,
Right.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions for Director Borders?
I just have one comment, which is, permitting in the city historically has been very challenging. Frankly, Director, your and the mayor's leadership has made it a lot easier. And it's very, very important when we talk about making the waterfront accessible, is that the groups that come, as most of you know, most of our events, we host those events. It's the external partners that are actually doing the programming. They still have to go through city permitting. It has become so much more streamlined and such a more welcoming conversation. A lot of that perfunctory machinations of the city, whether it's the film office or the special events committee, that falls under your leadership. I'm very, very grateful for your leadership because it's allowed us to have a greater diversity of people who are presenting on the Greenway because they're able to navigate that process. But I do want to compliment you because it's not easy because it involves so many other city departments, but it all funnels through you. But thank you.
Great.
And one last question for you, Director Borders, is I'm curious about, you mentioned Mass 250, and tall ships coming up in 2026. That's right. Yes, 2026. Do you interface with Kate at Mott, and you all, I don't know, is there a flow of information between Mott and your office? Is then how that works a little bit?
There is, Kate and I have a monthly, we sat down when she first took office, we speak. We have each other's cell phone numbers and email, we call each other when needed, but we have a standing time to engage, and we're always open to collaborate. It's difficult at times, and I'm mindful of the pressure I put on her on behalf of Boston when she has to service the entire state. So when Boston is loudest and we have all these expectations, Western Mass, the Cape, there are other spots that at times feel neglected from her seat. So I'm always mindful when we engage what I'm asking for and what it looks like, but there is a consistent flow of information.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening
Thank
and
you all for the opportunity.
for what you do all the time.
Good job.
Yeah,
You did.
let's stay connected.
We will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all again.
I'm not sure if Deputy Director Alexis is on. I don't see the name on the Zoom from the Mayor's Office Coordinated Response. No, that's too bad. Okay. Suzanne has on the agenda here something or other about Mayor Wu's expanded residential tax relief package. Did you want to say something about that?
Well, I sent everybody a copy of the press release. I don't know if Ciara, have you heard anything more about this? Or perhaps someone else is aware, because other than what's stated in the press release, I don't know where it stands, but it's
Legislation.
that's correct. Which they've got to take before the state, and at this point, I don't know where.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Ciara. Can you hear me?
Yeah, great, Sarah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, on January 15th, the mayor proposed an expansion of the tax relief, the package that we originally were kind of fighting for back in the winter. That is a way to provide obviously like financial assistance to the Boston residents. I know we're all impacted by a lot of increases. So our goal now, it didn't get passed through state senate. So we're hoping for the next time around, we can still push and fight for that. So she just kind of introduced another expansion. It's the same like tax relief package though. So it's everything the same as the last few months. We're just hoping that this time we'll get the outcome we want to help our residents.
In the meantime, tax bills have gone out.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so we're hoping by like March or April, and the next time it comes out, hopefully we'll see a change. If we can keep pushing for this, sending letters, keep calling and kind of fighting for that we can get the outcome we wanted.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we look forward to watching how that evolves. Let's see.
That's all.
Anything else? We don't have any votes this evening, I don't think, right? Okay.
I'm happy to say all the
Yeah.
officers were voted in at the last meeting.
Right.
It was unanimous.
Yeah, great. Cool. All right, our next meeting is scheduled for February 18th, which will be here.
Councilor Coletta will
Council-
be our guest speaker.
Excellent, great. The March meeting, this room is not available. And so for those of you who are planning on coming to that, it's going to be in the room right around the corner from here. And at the moment, it sounds like we're going to have to RISVIP for security. I don't know how we're going to do that.
Right,
so the-
so if, at
we'll
the
work on that.
February meeting, and when we send out the information about the March meeting, it will be, I believe, the 18th, and will
Mhm.
be as scheduled. And instead of walking under the flag to get to the Leventhal Center, you're going to, if you're coming from the city, you're going to go into the doors. Starbucks is on one side, and you go through those doors. You will have to show identification that you're on the guest list, and you're going to go upstairs. You're not coming here, which is a charming place.
Yeah, we will post a sign on this door so that people know to go
To
there.
go to the other.
Yeah, because there will be a meeting, not ours, in this room for March, but February we'll be back here. Questions, comments?
Any new business?
I did want to give an update. We did receive our funding from the state for the next phase of our climate resilience work. It is going to be largely focused for 2025 on communications and on advocacy. The Army Corps of Engineers is underway with their study, and the city with their work on Long Wharf. So we will continue to coordinate with them. Over the next 6 months, part of that communication effort is going to be to create a new video. It will be, are the Gordons still on?
Yes. They will.
They were here. Anyway, the Gordons were very kind to sponsor our last video, and in part, and we're going to be revising that to be dealing with the place that we're in at the moment and trying to accomplish things that we need to do relative to advocacy for our plan going forward. So I think a number of you are involved in that. You'll certainly get a chance to participate as it moves along. Any other questions, thoughts? Okay.
And
Well-
in the future, if you are interested in getting on the agenda, please let me know. We're more than happy to put you on the agenda and to get folks involved in the neighborhood and to promote in any way we can what's going on in the neighborhood or
Right.
your businesses or whatever.
Great. We'll see you all at the Tunnel of Love. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.